Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, to start off this episode, let's discuss two different people who are related to tonight's subject. Let's start with director Eli Roth. As a director and producer, Eli is most closely associated with the horror genre, first coming to prominence for directing the films like Cabin Fever and Hostel, but as an actor, Roth's most prominent roles have been as Donnie, the Bear Jew Donowitz, in Quentin Tarantino's war movie Inglourious Basterds, for which he won both a SAG Award for Best Ensemble and a BFCA Critics' Choice Award for Best Acting Ensemble. Journalists have included Eli in a group of filmmakers dubbed the Splat Pack for their explicitly violent and bloody horror movies. Also, in 2013, Roth received the Visionary Award for his contributions to horror at the Stanley Film Festival. And he directed the 2015 erotic thriller movie Knock Knock and the 2018 action movie Death Wish. Our second subject being American author John Bellairs. Best known for his fantasy novel The Face in the Frost and many gothic mystery novels for young adults. Sadly, Bellairs died of cardiovascular disease at his home in Haverhill, Massachusetts in 1991. He was about 53 years old when he died. So, what do Eli Roth and John Bellairs have in common? Well, just last week, Eli released a movie which happens to be based on one of Bellairs' books, which happens to be the subject of my blog tonight. Released on September 21st, 2018, the movie is The House with a Clock in Its Walls. Now let's get started. 10-year-old Lewis goes to live with his oddball uncle in a creepy old house that contains a mysterious ticking noise. He soon learns that Uncle Jonathan and his feisty neighbor, Mrs. Zimmerman, are powerful practitioners of the magic arts. When Lewis accidentally awakens the dead, the town's sleepy facade suddenly springs to life, revealing a secret and dangerous world of witches, warlocks, and deadly curses. So, what are my thoughts on this movie? Well, I really loved it. Truly an awesome movie to see during the Halloween season. But, to further explain why I enjoyed the movie, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, there really isn't much trivia here, but all I can say is, principal photography on the movie began on October 10, 2017. The original book was originally composed as a contemporary adult fantasy, but at the time, there was little market for such a thing. The second publisher to which it was submitted suggested rewriting it as a young reader's book. So, Bellairs did so, and thus determined the future course of his career. Now, one of the things I like in this movie is the time setting. And I think the filmmakers did great at capturing the 1955 era, which is the year my dad was born. Also, I like that this movie featured the Universal Studios logo from the 80s at the beginning of the movie, which is pretty similar to the Greatest Showman using the old 20th Century Fox logo. Also, I think the Barneveld house looks very mysterious and very creepy, especially with clocks everywhere, as well as living furniture, moving stained glass windows, and strange creatures. Plus, in my opinion, some elements of this movie make me think of Harry Potter with just a dash of the Haunted Mansion. However, there's one room in the house that's, well, pretty bone-chilling. And that room is the attic. And why do I think that? Well, it's because several of the figurines in the room bring back memories from Annabelle, along with Stephen King's It films. Not to mention the fact that these things come to life and ambush our main characters, courtesy of Isaac. Also, in my opinion, the titular Doomsday Clock looks almost like an old stereo in a way. And the school scenes in the movie are pretty similar to other films I've seen at times. Now let's move on to the cast of this movie. Our main character, Louis Barnevelt, is played by Owen Vaccaro, who got to be in the 2016 Mother's Day movie and the Daddy's Home movies. In my opinion, Louis is a very relatable kid, and I like that he's, well, interested in learning magic. However, I do feel bad that his parents were killed in an automobile accident. Throughout this movie, Louis is very much a loner in his new surroundings, usually content to stay at home and read, or visit with his uncle, or next-door neighbor Mrs. Zimmerman, or even take part in one of their poker games. Also, his low self-esteem prevents him from maintaining friendships with those his own age. Next we have Louis's uncle Jonathan, played by Jack Black. Best known for being in films like Shark Tale, the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, the 2005 King Kong remake, and Goosebumps, which will be getting a sequel in a couple weeks. Now, Jonathan is a magical warlock, and in my opinion, I think Jonathan is a little eccentric, but he is very friendly and fun. However, he is very cautious, and he advises Louis not to open a cabinet that contains dangerous spell books. Next we have Jonathan's neighbor, Florence Zimmerman, played by Cate Blanchett, who got to be in Hayao Miyazaki's Ponyo, Indiana Jones 4, How to Train Your Dragon 2, which will be getting a sequel next year, the 2015 Cinderella remake, and Thor Ragnarok. Now, Florence is a kind elderly witch who's known for her love of the color purple. Also, in my opinion, I think she cares deeply for Louis as equally as Jonathan does. Next we have our main villain, Isaac Izzard, an evil warlock and Jonathan's former friend, played by Kyle MacLachlan, who voiced Superman in Justice League The New Frontier, and voiced Riley's father in Pixar's Inside Out. To me, Isaac is insane and sinister, even in death. In life, Isaac and Jonathan were a magical duo, touring the country and performing their shows using real magic without anyone knowing. But then, when World War II broke out, Isaac turned bitter and became spiteful of humanity, while he was fighting, that is. His unit was ambushed in battle, and he fled into the Black Forest. He used every spell he could think of, with one thought in his mind, to undo all of it. All the horror and hardship and suffering that he had been through. This had the effect of summoning a demon prince who made a deal with him and gave Isaac the blueprints for the Doomsday Clock. Upon returning home, he married the wicked witch Selena, and they shut themselves away until Isaac's death trying to cast blood magic, which caused a huge blast of energy. Before he died, he hid the doomsday clock in the walls so that when the time was right, he could reset the world to the beginning of time and then stopping it to continue once more. Next we have Isaac's wife, Selena, an evil witch played by Renee Elise Goldsberry. While Selena does not appear too much in the movie, she can be very manipulative, like when she disguises herself as Lewis's mother and talks to him in his dreams. Plus, she also poses as Jonathan's nosy neighbor, Mrs. Hanchett. Another character to talk about is Tarby Colligan, played by Sonny Suljic. At first, Tarby seemed like a nice friendly kid while he was trying to recover his broken arm. But after his arm is healed, Tarby is revealed to be a very jerkish kid. Other members of the cast include Vanessa Ann Williams, Colleen Camp, and Lorenza Izzo. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, The House with a Clock in Its Walls is an interesting movie and a film worth seeing during the Halloween season. The story is very mysterious, though some elements are pretty familiar. The main character, Lewis, is relatable. Jonathan is eccentric and fun. Florence Zimmerman is a kind and protective witch. And the villains, Isaac and Selena, are really twisted and manipulative. However, there are some parts in this movie that were very thought-provoking, and the movie does have some crude humor, like a baby Jonathan pissing himself and a topiary lion pooping manure. But if you can ignore those scenes, this is one movie that you should check out this season. I give this movie a 95% out of 100. Well, that's it for tonight, everyone. Be sure to tune in next time as we go up high into the snowy mountains to meet some Yetis. Mustang power.